Hello and welcome to the Knock On, KCLR and Scoreline.ie's weekly rugby podcast, talking all things Kilkenny, Carlow and Tullow rugby, Leinster, Ireland and all the above. Tom Crotty and James Blanchfield join us this evening. Lads, how's it going?
Not too bad, Stephen.
I'm right good, Stephen. That's one sexy new intro, by the way. I forgot to give you kudos on that last week. You were working hard on that all summer, were you?
Oh, it took me months. I got a fancy new logo up in the corner there as well, designed by Ken. It's up over Tom Crotty there.
Yeah, that's the stuff.
Yeah, that's the job. Merchandise now available, not?
Yeah, you can buy our merch from.
Yeah, you know what? We'll look at all that sort of stuff as well. We might be joined by Johnny Tobin from Tullow Rugby Club later in the show as well. But there's plenty to talk about. Lots of bits and pieces going on at the moment. Tom Crotty his side has even been in action as well, and there's more action coming up as well. But James, the big stuff locally last week, I suppose. Leinster came to Fookstown. It was in savage nick. It was in great shape for the train of that. How did you get on?
Yeah, it went really well. They only had a small number of players. I think they only had, about 22 players. But it was probably an Irish squad that they had there, so it was great. All the kids had a great time. It was brilliant to see them in action, just the speed. They do not like their training session was probably nothing different. It was a lot of ball handling skills and things like that they did. But it was just the intensity and sheer accuracy of everything that they were doing. They were all kind of, on tune with what was needed, the speed that they moved the ball, the way that they work, the way that they operate, and just get to see these guys in the flesh for a lot of the kids locally. It was a big thing. They came from near and far. It was brilliant. Look, it was great to see. It was a massive crowd in the club. We'd probably say there was maybe anything between 500 and 600 people there. Brilliant. And it was incredible just to see it. The club was in great nick for it. Stuart Lancaster commented on it actually and gave Jimmy McGarry, our groundsman, an arm around the shoulder to congratulate him on the order of the pitches. Disappointing that we couldn't there's a lot of work going on in the club at the moment, just around the grounds, just to get it ready for the season. New pitch fencing going in and a bit of new tarmac adam going down around the new dressing rooms and stuff. So shame we couldn't have all that finished, but however, you know what, it was a great day to showcase the club, showcase the new dressing rooms, and just really see all of the stars of I suppose Leinster and Ireland in Fookstown. Typical though of Murphy's Law, the old country we live in, everyone wanted to see Tig Furlong. Where's Tig Furlong? Tig wasn't there, I believe. He was down in New Ross milking cows or something like that. So he wasn't there. But look, you had everyone there bar him. You had Johnny Sexton, Caelan Doris, James Ryan, Andrew Porter, Cian Healy, Dan Sheehan, James Lowe. Like it was pretty much Gary Ringrose, Henshaw, Larmer, rattling the ball off there. The whole Irish squad was there. It was brilliant to see. And in fairness to them, they trained for about an hour and then they made themselves available for an hour, just working around the pitch, doing photographs, doing autographs. And it will probably do a lot to raise the profile of rugby in Kilkenny as well at a time of year when we're in the thick of the business end of underage hurling, So it was good for that.
Absolutely. Like James, there's nothing like it when you're a kid, even an adult. To stand up close to Josh van der Fleer, Johnny Sexton. These boys, their last game they played was against the All Blacks.
That's true. Yeah, you mentioned Josh van der. Yeah, you mentioned Josh there. Like his grandfather won a Towns Cup with Kilkenny back in the 50s. And we just made a presentation to him after the train and just give him a Kilkenny jersey. Being a Wicklow man, I'd say he was ready to throw it in the nearest wheelie bin. But it was just nice. It was just important for the club to acknowledge that. And actually, one important thing that's worthwhile mentioning is that Willie Duggan Jr. was requested by the squad to kind of address them in the dressing room before the training session. And I've known Willie a long time. I've never in my life seen him nervous, but he was nervous going in there. But just to speak about his old man and Kilkenny's connection with Leinster, and I suppose kind of Willie Duggan Senior could never understand any of Kilkenny that would support Munster. And if he found out that we did, you'd get a serious toe up the rear end from him. But it was nice for Willie Jr. to get that kind of opportunity to speak about his dad with the current crop of Leinster players,
Absolutely. I know it was great. It was really good now. The pictures that just put on your social media platforms, everything was great as well. It was good. It was friendly. And like I said, it does a huge amount.
That was it. Like, I mean, last week was a big week for the club. Like, I mean, we had a disco on Wednesday night, which there was 1,500 kids at, and then we had the Leinster training on Friday, which is volunteers came out in their droves to help with parking, help with all that. Kind of 2 out of 3 days was a big ask. So I think all of the club members of last week that helped out deserve a big pat on the back.
So James, that's all the sort of events taking place around the club. How are you in terms of training and everything? Any news?
Yeah, we're going well. Look, at numbers are still up about 30 to 40 players. Unfortunately, week before last, we were meant to play Terranure in the semi-final of the Paul Flood, but we felt that we didn't have a team ready. There wasn't enough of backs available. We felt that going up to Terranure would have done us more harm than good. So we conceded that game, which probably wasn't a bad idea. But at the moment, there's 30 to 40 players out on the pitch training now. The J2s went down to Wexford firsts on Saturday out in the club. Probably a little bit of a disjointed performance on the J2s, the truth be said, but that will come together. There was a lot of kind of players who were kind of parachuted in and given a start and might have only been out training 2 or 3 times. We were meant to play Enniscorthy in the J1 Southeast League last Friday night, and Enniscorthy conceded that game. So that was disappointing for the J1s, but however, they were well prepared, had a very strong team, ready to go out. However, on the Saturday, the seconds, they went down poorly to what I would see as being a reasonably strong Wexford team. Wexford had a fantastic number 7, they had a very good number 10, and a very good centre partnership, which took a lot for our lads to try and manage and contain, and they struggled too. Our women's team had a great weekend. They won the Port Dara 10s on Saturday. They won it outright up in Port Dara, or up in, I think was it Port Arlington it was on in. And they went and they won that outright. So that was that was good for the girls to start the season on that strong foot. And they still have a squad of about 35, 36 players that they have. So we'd be hoping for the girls to have another successful season. And look, at the message goes out that if anyone wants to come out and give it a try with them, they're more than welcome too. Our firsts are away to New Ross this Saturday at 5 o'clock. So that will be a big test. New Ross are going very well. Derek Furness has done a really good job down there the last 2 years to pull New Ross back together and start getting a lot of results strong. So they won their league last year. They're in Division 2A now, isn't it? And Conor Dempsey, who has been playing for us for the last 5 or 6 years, is back with New Ross. And I have Jim Ryan there, the Leinster junior second row. I believe they brought in an overseas Kiwi as well. So that's going to be a tough game for us as well, irrespective of what division New Ross are in. It is going to be a tough game. That's 5 o'clock in New Ross this Saturday. And just bouncing back to last weekend's, our under-18s had a strong win away in Carlow as well. I think it was 28 points to 12 or something like that. But Caleb Hogan-Eyre did all the score, and I think it was 32-12. But Caleb, I think, got scored about 28 points of that. So they went up there. So the under-18s are starting to get it back together now. So look, it's the start of the season. Things are starting to come together nice and slowly. Fixtures are starting to come through. Tom and all of his colleagues in the southeast are getting all of the competitions coordinated now. So look, we're probably in the first week of September now. So traditionally, this is the start of rugby season. So we'll see an increase in activity now from here on forward.
Good stuff. Tom, moving on to Carlow, of course, Leinster, they weren't training on Carlow Rugby Club, but they were in the IT as well. It was a good few people went down to have a gawk as well, which was nice to have them locally. I know they were doing a 12-county tour, but a couple of chaps got to get their autographs and pictures taken and that sort of stuff as well.
Yeah, I saw them. They were over. They came back from Kilkenny and they had their lunch in the IT, and then I think they did a lightweight session and headed off. Then, but I think they were I think they were also over, and some of the lads were over in a tie that day as well. So I think they kind of split up the team. So many went to Kilkenny and so many went to a tie. So I think they met back in Carlow and had a gym session, and then had off. I saw a few of them coming out of the gym all right, and I think they had a team meeting over above the stand there on the main GA pitch. But look, it's great to have those. Like, it's great to have the facility in Carlow. Stop calling it Carlow IT and start calling it the Southeast University, Carlow Southeast University. But it's some facility to have. Look, and it's great that we can have the likes of Leinster to be able to come down and use those facilities. It'd be nice to see him actually to come down, maybe use it sometime, that all the clubs from the areas can come and watch them play and train in the centre of excellence there. So hopefully that'll happen at some stage. We'll all get to have a look at them.
Absolutely. So you're back in action.
Yeah, we had the 18s. Yes, as was said, like, we're beaten well by Kilkenny on Saturday. Struggling a bit trying just getting them together, but it's early days, and a few of them are away playing with Leinster as well. We had 2 on the bench for the Leinster under 18s and 1 on the travelling reserve, so they're delighted with that. Young Tyrone got to play, came on both games, so he's an up and coming prop, a very, very, very talented young player. Look, that was that, and then Wednesday night we went down to Enniscorthy in South East League. Went down to play their J1s. I'd say, look, we had a tough game as you'd expect from, like, it's our first game of the season. We're missing a few players, as you do, like, with just different things, as you know, playing midweek and lads working or whatever. But we're down with a reasonable side, and look, it was a cracking game, absolutely cracking game. The final score was 26-23. So any high scoring game like that was entertaining to watch. It was tough. Few errors, an error at the end, like we let a try in at the end that shouldn't have really been let in. It was the second try that kind of came back on the inside. It was a lovely move, but you'd expect during the year that wouldn't happen again. We had, don't want to sound like James at the start of the season last year, but we lost our two wingers, two potential starting first wingers. One went down. One has suspected cracked ribs, and the other has suspected something wrong with his ankle. Hopefully, it's not too bad, because they're type of players that you can't afford to lose, especially coming into the start of the season. But it was nice to see. Look, there was young players. There was young Jody Doyle Hutton came up from the 18s. A full back. He had. It was a big introduction, like, to come up against the company, his first adult game, and he had a great game, a very good game off the boot. I think he kicked one conversion and 3 penalties. So Jody had a great game. Paddy Mackey, our Australian friend that came in that played last year, had another outstanding game. Josh Cope, Josh was playing with. He was playing down in Limerick last year, Dual Bows under 20s. Josh has kind of come back. He's just going to play a little bit with us before he's heading off after Christmas. But Josh played 9 and had a storming game, even though I was going to give him a present of a shovel after the game for the amount of digging that he had to do to get the ball out. But look, we're off the mark. It's great to get off the mark, get a win, and as I say, like, we're averaging around the 30 mark training, so you can't say anything wrong with that. We have our seconds are playing Wexford J1s tonight in Wexford.
Thursday, 1st September.
Yeah, that'll be kind of a tough game, as if James was saying, like, that, like, it's their first team, but we're going to go down to give it a lash anyway. The lads are looking forward. Look, at this stage, I know. Look at the South East League. It is important. It is important. Everybody's silverware, and everybody does want to win it. But it's more important to get early rugby before we hit into the series part of the season, and we hit into the league. So next weekend, James. We're playing ye.
Yeah, next weekend in Carlow. That's J1 and J2, I think, isn't it?
Yeah. Like, they're games that are important, regardless of results or what happens at the end of the day. Like, you have to get those games under your belts. Like, players need game time. You can train all you want. You can train for the whole summer, but there's nothing like a game. It's totally different. It puts you, there's a totally different level of fitness. It gives you that. It gives you that bit of sharpness to play, and you need these games to get under your belt before you hit, as I say, before you hit the league. But look, we're happy enough. There's no couple of injuries, as I say, that won't be available. A few won't be available for the next couple of weeks, but still, it's a good time. It's a good time to be blood and young fellas and giving that a chance to trying to see the guys in different positions and seeing how they play. And like Corey is doing a good job, and the lads are buying into his style of play. And with Jeff, definitely, Jeff is coaching in Kilkenny College as well. Jeff is over doing the forwards with us. He's been with us the last 2 years, and the lads really like he's sharp, and he's an intelligent guy, and the lads are doing their best to kind of fall into the structures that he wants to play. So everyone's buying into the system, and we're probably more advanced than not saying that we're any better than we were last year, but at this time, but we're definitely further ahead in the way we're playing and the idea, the way we want to play, because last year it was kind of new, and in a sense, because we had a lot of guys coming back and young guys hadn't played J1s before, and it's just nice to see that they're starting to fall into the system that we want to play. But it's the best system in the world or not, we don't know. We'll have to wait and see, and we're looking forward to the games coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. Great stuff, Tom. We're all looking forward to it as well. Just a couple of notes to go over from Tullow, just a couple of bits that I look after while Johnny's not here. Senan Keaton from Tullow is part of the Southeast Under-16 boys squad. That was last night's Shane Horgan Cup opener against Metro, so good luck to him and the Southeast squad as they go on in that one as well. Tullow Minis Rugby are looking for you to get involved if you want to get down. The season starts on Sunday morning next. That's the 4th of September, so 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. in Tullow. So get involved there. You can get in touch with John Manifold. He's the Minis coordinator in Tullow Rugby Club. If you have a child, you want to get involved in that there as well. Adam Day from Tullow as well. He was part of the under-19 Leinster team who beat Connacht within the last week as well in the second round of the Interprovincial Series there as well. And Tullow's Peter Burgess represented Leinster in the under-18s as well. So congratulations to those boys as well. And of course, Dana O'Brien as well, representing Tullow and Ireland, of course, on the Irish women's team. They played Japan there a couple of weeks ago as well. So great stuff coming out of Tullow at the moment. Lads, the interprovincial stuff kicked off last weekend as well. It's great to have something to keep an eye out for as well. Munster went up against Gloucester in Musgrave Park, but they didn't come off the winners in that one as well. But what did you take from the game, James, starting with you? Did you see it or did you see highlights? Or, of course, this is the first sort of an outing for Mike Prendergast, Dennis Leamy and the lads as well. So, you're not going to read too much into the result.
I actually didn't watch it, lads. I'm not going to tell a lie, so there's no point to be here trying to BS. I didn't watch it. Unfortunately, parenting got in the way.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah. So am I the only fool that watched?
You're the only one that's out to
his homework, James. Me and you were.
Well, no, maybe it was just desperation, just really looking forward to rugby being back. I couldn't have another Friday night or Saturday without some rugby. So, I watched this. It was a lot of young players, and it was kind of a mixed Munster team. They were 21-0 down at half time. They gave away a try within 3 minutes of the game starting. Big kind of all over the place when they started, but they were kind of, as the game grew, they were starting to come into play. I think that Neil Cronin and Ben Healy were the halfback pairings. They played all right. It'd be very harsh to say. I think Ben Healy probably got a bit of after the game would have been probably but they got a little bit of a slating on some of his play. But I think it would be a bit unfair to do that because of if you look at the changes that Munster brought on in the second half, with Fakatawa coming on, made a huge difference, and they had two young second rows in the first half, did quite well. But I thought the two second rows that come on in the second half were better. I thought they had Roman Salanoa came on in the second half and actually had a really, really good game and lasted the whole half without injury, which is a good thing for him because I don't think he's played very. I'd say if he played an hour of rugby since he arrived in Munster, it'd be a miracle. But he had a really, really good game. Jack Crowley played well. Paddy Patterson actually had a player that I wouldn't particularly rate as being, I kind of looked at him going down, wondering why you pick, why you get him down there. But he actually had a good game. Attacked the breakdown really, really well, and it was continually finding gaps around the breakdown coming through in the second half. Jack Crowley then came on. There was two young guys, Edwin Ondogu and Daniel Okeke. Both of those players were absolutely fantastic when they come on. They really, really made a difference in the scrum and the forwards. That they actually took on the carry ball, no fear whatsoever. So the game ended up.
It's a fine bit of gear.
Yeah,
he played away against Wasps last year when all the Munster players were stuck in South Africa.
That's right.
He had a right good game.
Yeah, the two that other guy, and there's a the
young back row that got to try in the corner.
He had really superb second half. Like it finished off 28-19, so respectable finish on the game. There was definitely a game with two halves, but they were really, really caught off the mark at the start. But Gloucester brought a really, really strong side. I mean, Gloucester nearly started at full strength. They're really. I presuming that they're going to hit the ground running with back into the Premiership, and I presume they wanted to have all the players out. But they started really, 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 really strong. So look, you couldn't judge by the game. Be interesting to see. They're playing London Irish this week. They're playing London Irish on
Friday
night again. That's if anybody wants to watch that game, it's streamed live on. If you just go onto the Munster website, it's streamed live through one of the news talk. One of those I can't remember whatever it is. They have it live, and it's actually really, really good quality. So if anybody wants to watch the game,
they've named quite a strong team for that game as well.
Yeah. 3 changes. So Hooker, Scott Buckley, John Klein, isn't it, and Finney Mitcherley all start. So.
Yeah. And they needed that because their second rows were kind of a bit weak, and to start off against such a strong Gloucester side. Look, it'd be interesting to see. I mean, you can't judge it. It's just, as I say, it was more of an interest to see what the likes of Mike Prendergast and those have done. You could see in the second half how they tried to play. They're trying to play a little bit more open rugby, a bit more. Shouldn't really say it, but Leinster style. But
they've tried that before, and they have just been deemed. It's been rendered useless because they do everything in front of the gain line. They've never seemed to try and penetrate. So you'd hope that Prendergast can bring a little bit more. I suppose, accuracy and execution, and they're doing the right things in the right places rather than doing it 5 yards behind where they should be doing it.
But that's it, James, and I think it's a case for them. Like every province is different, every set of coaches are different, and I think if they're going to, they have to find the compromise between the open game that Leinster play and that fast pace, fast ruck. They have to find their own compromise between that and what Munster was, with their maul needs to start working, and their pack needs to work as well. So they need to come up with their own style. I'm sure Mike Prendergast and those will put it in place.
Absolutely. He's been on the bench for the last few minutes. We're going to give him a run out now. Johnny Tobin has.
You might have to mind his shoulder if you're bringing him on, lads.
Yeah. How are you, Johnny?
Listen, lads, I can't believe we started the second season and we're talking about Division 2 rugby again. Munster and Gloucester. Holy Mother of Christ Almighty.
I thought you were going to say Tullow and Carlow.
Well, you see, James, You see, my good friend, Tullow is a very well established club, and we have all our own homegrown fellas. All these signings now Kilkenny are doing. Big news in Kilkenny. They're moving up to the AIL standard now. Big news on.
No, we've what 5 players have come in, and three of the 5 are Kilkenny men.
Transfer
All I'd say is it's great that we don't have to hear about the injury list. The injury list Kilkenny have now for the whole start of this season. We don't have to hear about that anymore.
Oh,
Johnny, if you listen,
thing.
I'm taking over from that because I was just saying that we lost our 2 wingers on Wednesday night. so it's all right. Somebody has to replace them. Yeah.
We don't have players to get injured, so it's grand.
Go away with that. You have plenty of players over there.
Listen, anyway, that's great.
So I hear, Tom, they have plenty of players. Yeah, I hear they're draining other clubs of their players. Lads coming from Kildare and Athy and all these places now. So
big checkbook down there, Johnny. While we have
London Irish.
Absolutely.
And you heard right, my friend. You heard right.
Johnny, I haven't spoken.
You heard right, my friend. You heard right.
Show back. You give us an update.
We'll take them wherever they come from. The ditches if they want.
Bit of a delay there on
Sorry,
Johnny's
Stephen.
line. You're right, Johnny. What's going on in Tullow at the moment? The line is really.
Lots going on in Tullow at the moment. Good numbers training, steady numbers. Hold on one sec.
All right, live. That's a live podcast for you, lads. On microphones. I can hear him sighing in the background there. Just gonna leave
you hear him all right.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's the joys of technology. But yeah, plenty going on there. We might see Shawnee in a Tullow jersey this season as well. If we could get Johnny's line back, we might be able to confirm or otherwise for that as well.
I think they're after blocking them out there because it's very secretive, all behind closed doors over there at the moment.
I heard it from the horse's mouth last week, lads. So it's in no doubt.
Here he is.
It's like as I said.
There he is.
You got me back.
I have much better line there, Johnny, as well. Johnny, we're just talking about your London Irish player that is purchased over the summer as well. Is that all true?
Free transfer.
Yeah, absolutely. What's going on?
Yeah, that's all in the motion at the moment. Yeah, we're hoping that he'll be able for the game in Oak Park in October, maybe.
Absolutely, red carpet.
We're aiming for that one.
Of course, yeah.
So look, Tom, what can you do? Life gives you lemons and all that.
Yeah,
it can only be a good thing for the league and only be a good thing for Tullow and for rugby. But I was saying to Johnny on the phone last night, like I remember when Mick Galway played with us in 04, 05 and 06, he was coming back off a stellar Irish career and a Munster career, and he was just targeted week in, week out. I don't know how the man at that stage put up with the level of abuse and assaults that were put in on him on the pitch, you know. And like I remember seeing it in Naas and in Rossgrave one day, and just what they did to him was criminal. You'd kind of, not saying that's going to happen to Sean, but at this level, everyone's going to want to cut off him as well, you know. Now look at, he's well able to mind himself too, but you know, everyone's going to want to hop at him, and I can see it over in Oak Park there in October in the local derby. Everyone in a black and amber jersey in Oak Park is going to want to clip off him, you know.
Tom will have a plan hatched.
Jesus. Yeah, it'd be something like an American football defense. Look, well, the only thing now, I mean, times have changed a bit with you won't get away with stuff that you used to get away with. I mean, everywhere. But look, it'd be good to see. No, look, we're not. If nothing else, it's going to bring people in. People in to say, so at the end of the day, it'll be money in our club's pocket when they come in October. So
that's it.
We'll be glad of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But just on the comment Johnny made about Kilkenny bringing in players, like I got a bit of a slating last week. I kind of for overstating or not for overstating or understating the players that have joined us. The majority of the guys that have joined are re-signings, people who are coming back to us, and chaps from Kilkenny, like as I mentioned, Brendan McSorley last week. Brendan is from Kilkenny. His mum is from Danesfort. He was born and raised in Danesfort. He just moved up north when he was 13 or 14. The other chap, Sam Smith, is from Kilkenny. Jake Prattley has been with us for the last 2 seasons anyway. So, and there's an awful lot of other Kilkenny players that have come back to us. Charlie Buckley, William Seal, all of these guys, Andrew Warner, all at Kilkenny College. So our objective is to get Kilkenny guys home and supplement where we need to supplement with some outside players, but don't let my comments last week be taken out of context. That our objective is absolutely to have Kilkenny guys in Kilkenny jerseys playing in Kilkenny.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's the story. We've lost Johnny again, lads, for anyone that's listening to the podcast and not watching it. We'll move on to the Emerging Ireland squad. Tom, we spoke about this off air as well. Basically, it's a tour to South Africa. Heap of young lads. Simon Easterby's been put in charge of it as well. So you're looking at 35-player squad. So they're going to go up against a couple of different, I think it's club sides in South Africa.
Yeah, the Curry Cup sides.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of under-20s heading over, under-20 internationals for Ireland, and a couple of other people as well, different types of players. You think it's a good idea, Tom?
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. The full reason being is that we used to have the Ireland Day or the Wolfhounds, whatever you wanted to call it. We don't have that aspect anymore to the game. Young guys need to be blooded coming up through they need to be seen at an international level, and everybody knows that it's a step up from the URC into Heineken Cup, and your international level is one step further. So they need to start getting into that. And I think the fact that say the Irish teams that play, the Irish team that played the Maoris, there was a lot of young fellas on that, and it'd be nice to see those all getting game time, and a lot of the younger 20s to be competitive. They don't get that competitive edge. And the fact that we don't have a Leinster the Leinster Munster A games really either, that all kind of stopped as well. So those guys aren't getting games. It's very few clubs, unless you're with Leinster, you're going to get a game, that are going to have a turnover of players. So guys need to be seen. We need to see them at the higher level, and it's great to go to South Africa and play teams from down there and just see what's coming through. They all need experience, We need to find. Look, we said it all last year. We need to find the next out half, Ireland's next out half, Ireland's next 15. All those players need to be found. Who's going to be the next tight head for Ireland? Who's going to be the next loose head? There's so many aspects to the game coming through of positions that we need to fill. And Leinster, as I say, Leinster can't keep filling. We need to have them coming from all the provinces. So hopefully the guys from Connacht, guys from Munster, guys from Ulster will all get a game. We'll all get game time and see what's coming through from all the provinces.
Absolutely.
I agree with you, Tom. I think it's a great idea. Like you look at young guys, just as, you look at tight head prop. Munster haven't recruited a tight head prop. They have your man Keenan Knox there now. They're putting an awful lot of faith in him. He's IQ'd now. I think he's here for the last 4 or 5 years now. But do Ireland bring him to see what he can add? And the likes of Jimmy O'Brien, Josh Wycherley, Ethan McElroy, these guys. I think it's a great opportunity for these lads to go out and get involved in an Irish system.
Absolutely, and the likes of Paul O'Connell, Mike Catch, on Fogarty, and those are the lads helping out with all that, as well as the support. To Simon Easterby is huge as well. Just for their development. That's it.
Yeah. It's Tom said at the beginning there, you no longer see the Ireland A. I think I've said it last year and I continue saying it. You need to get the A internationals back in on Friday nights at Six Nations. You have the Irish club thing and that, but that's not the same. The A internationals are always brilliant. I remember seeing a match program recently enough for one, and the amount of guys that the A system was used as their kind of transition or segue into the Irish system was great. And I think they have to start finding a place for it again, because the Munster Leinster Ulster Connacht Day thing it's just been a bit of a dead duck for the last number of years. And these guys have to be getting their opportunities for stepping stones to international rugby.
Yeah, and so who do you? So the likes of players that you're looking at, obviously the Ireland under-20s, but do you bring Kieran Frawley? Do you bring
Absolutely.
Doak? Yeah, do you bring Doak, McElroy? Those are the lads from Ulster. I don't know. Do you bring Balakoon? You see, there's a
I think any young player who's not getting selected, any player who's not guaranteed, they're going to have to look at it and say, right, who's going to be our Six Nations, the panel for the Six Nations?
Yeah.
Those who are there or thereabouts, and who are training with them, we're training with the squad. They're the ones that need to be brought. Gavin Coombs, there's a load of them there that
absolutely.
That can be. I mean, there's a whole team from Leinster alone that could go on a tour. So we have to. They're the players that need game time. There's no, and I think I'm right. There's no 20s interprovincial either anymore. They got rid of that. I think they got rid of that. I don't think it is. So if that's correct. If that's correct, that means that young guys are they'll go from their under-19s provincial clubs and schools, whatever, and then they form the under-20s and they go into the under-20 setup for the Irish under-20s, and then after that, then they're back to their clubs. Yeah. So they're not getting that little bit of extra, and it is special to play at a representative level.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you send Harry Byrne to South Africa?
No.
No.
No, I didn't. You see what I'm getting at?
I genuinely think he's had his chance.
Right. So you've had, I know what you mean.
You don't send Harry Burns. You don't send your man up in Ulster. I've even forgotten about him. The other Harry, the out half, Freddie Burns.
Freddie Burns.
Yeah, Freddie Burns. These guys, Harry Byrne in Leinster, Ross Byrne and Leinster. These guys have had their chance in my mind at international level, and I think they've proven that they're not at the level. I think now we need to come down a tier and look at the likes of Ben Healy, Kieran Frawley, and Jack Crowley, and put them into that atmosphere and see how they react to it. Because we're all on the Sexton buzz. Who's going to replace Sexton? Is it going to be Joey Carby? Is it going to be Kieran Frawley? Is it going to be another? However,
a year to do it as well.
And we're coming into a World Cup, into the lesser numbers on a World Cup cycle. It's in October 23, isn't it? So we're nearly a year out from a World Cup. It's not going to be long after that the cycle for 2027 is going to start. These guys have to be blooded for then, and I think this is one of the reasons why I like the emerging thing to South Africa, that it's going to get the Jack Crowleys, the Frawleys, and Ben Healy. And even others, like you look at Jake Flannery, who's gone up to Ulster from Munster, these sort of guys, it's going to get them into that international system and actually start building the next squad for 27 beyond 23. Yeah. Because you don't know who you're going to unearth from it,
Exactly, and it stops the Irish few wasting their time a bit as well. With
this is it.
Given Harry Byrne, not using Harry as an example, but given some of the players the shop window and then not having much opportunities to do that, bar you're playing a weak team in an autumn international or whatever it is, those opportunities.
Yeah, because there's key positions. We were flush. We were very flush as a country with back row. We're not too bad with second rows, but we still need replacements in the next couple of years. But scrum half is going to be another. Scrum half is definitely another one that has to be looked at. Out half has to be looked at. Centres to replace the lads that are there. Is there another set of centres to replace the set we have at the moment? Who's going to replace Bundyaki? Who's going to replace what you call him?
Ringrose,
Henshaw.
That combination of those three. Who is the next stars to come up and replace those? And again,
even solid full backs as well.
I think Doak is going to be the next big thing in Irish rugby. This young fellow up in Ulster.
Mm-hmm.
you know, and he reminds me of Ruan Pienaar in many ways, that he's able to control a game from number 9. He's able to kick. He's able to play out half. I think he's the next big thing in Irish rugby.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting to see.
Absolutely.
I actually think if he is on the emerging Irish squad, I think in the next 12 months you will see him overtaking Craig Casey to be called into Irish squads. I think Craig Casey is.
Wow.
I feel Craig Casey has plateaued the last while. There's only so much, the clapping of the hands and wanting the ball and trying to take quick passes. And I think I kind of worry that he's gone a little bit headless in what he's doing. I think Doak is a far more level head than him.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Lads, you want to have a quick chat about Páirc Uí Chaoimh, Munster, South Africa, before we head?
Everyone's a winner in that.
Yeah.
Cork GA need the money. Munster Rugby need the money.
GA,
I think everyone's a winner.
Look, it's good. They're fantastic. I've been at the moment we're at the Maori All Blacks at Australia. So I saw Conor Murray getting his first cap of Munster that night, and they've all been fantastic games. I mean, you can't lose. You can't lose by having it. It just is something, and I suppose Munster have that particular ideal that they always have played the international teams. You know, they've been the club, and it's always a bit exciting. I think it's a great idea. And to have it, they need a size. They need a bigger stadium for that game as well. It'd be great to have it in Páirc Uí Chaoimh.
Exactly, and it was lovely watching the rugby in Croke Park, as we all know as well.
Yeah.
But it's nice. It's nice for a change. You know yourself.
What do you think of Argentina beating the Munster or beating the All Blacks?
There's huge news. That's massive, but it makes our series win not look as shiny now as it was, but still.
Yeah, but you can't. Do you know? It's like I thought I was starting to watch Carlow as we played a bit last year, with the amount of penalties that were given. It was like to give 16 points off the boot away is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know, you can't at that level, because it looked at it. They had Argentina up a stick at times in the scrum. Their lines were quite good, but they just seem to have. I don't know whether they can't handle it, and I think everybody's become awareness of, since the day of McCaw ruling the roost and ruling the breakdown and the virgin offside and doing this. They just don't have that respect anymore, and I think they're just being absolutely shown up at the breakdown. They've been giving away so many penalties. I think they're very inaccurate on what they do. I think they're going to be. It's going to be.
I'll judge them in October 2023.
Yeah.
Because I think they know their problems. They've shuffled their coaching ticket. They've brought Schmidt in. I just don't think they're going to be that bad at a World Cup.
No, they won't.
No, too much pressure.
But it's probably the best thing. I mean, look at us. We were all stars going into the last World Cup. So maybe it's about that little bit of disasters. They're saying doubt and disasters. They call it in New Zealand. I mean, whatever about us, Jesus, I wouldn't like to be down there, because I mean, there's no forgiveness whatsoever.
What was Paddy O'Shea's famous comment about the Kerry supporters? They're like bleeding animals down here, and so are the New Zealand rugby supporters. Like they're very quick to turn on their own, you know.
Yeah, Australia would be a team to watch as well. So they played some lovely rugby at the weekend, and South Africa definitely didn't turn up. I don't know what they seem to have meltdowns in Australia, but the Australia moved the ball really, really well. So it was actually lovely to see.
It was. Great. Jeez, we were talking about all the rugby. That sounds great to have that stuff on as well. Lads, we're going to wrap it up there for the week. Thanks for listening, people, on listening to the podcast. But if you want to look at it, you can go to YouTube, to Scoreline.ie on YouTube, and you can watch the knock on and see all our lovely faces on it, and Johnny dropping in and out every now and again as well, and all besides. We'll talk to you next week, same time. Lads, thanks a million.
See you.
Thanks, Stephen.
Chat to you next week.